Hey, everybody. Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of the Carrie Rolled On Show, where we spend 30 minutes or so a week having conversations that matter to the mompreneur's body, mind, and business. I'm your host, Carrie Rolled On, and I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a best selling author. I'm still really excited about that. um, I am a business consultant, a runner, a personal growth junkie, and your total business BFF. Now, I help busy mompreneurs to leverage their unique gifts and their limited time so that they can get their business off the ground, make an impact on the world, and help support their families as well. And since we are in the season of giving, I thought I would start off with a gift for you. So I'm giving away 10 strategy sessions in the month of December. And these are for anybody who feels stuck in their business, like maybe their marketing isn't working, or like maybe they're suffering from the ails that Warren and I are going to be talking about today. So to qualify for one of these sessions, all you need to do is send me an email at coachcarrierolledon@gmail.com, and I've put that in my lower third today, and request an application. Yes, you need to apply, but don't get afraid. Don't be afraid of that. It's a series of questions you need to answer, basically, so that I can best serve you on the call and see if I'm even a fit for you. Now, I created the Carrie Roldan Show because I have stumbled and I continue to on my entrepreneurial journey because the road to success thus far has been full of potholes, detours, struggles, and dead ends. Not to mention self-doubt, fear, worry, debt, marital tension, and personal struggle. And I wanted to share what I continue to learn on my journey in the hopes that it will help others too. I believe wholeheartedly in the mompreneurial dream and want to support others on the journey. Now, what is the mompreneurial dream, you ask? Well, for me, it is earning a good income from home, doing what I love, helping others to succeed, and still being present for my kids. If you're not yet doing these things, then we got to talk, girlfriend. That's why I'm giving away the strategy sessions. We moms need support in body, mind, and business. And the truth is that there are too many of us feeling stretched way, way too thin. We're overworked, we're exhausted, and we're overwhelmed. That's where I come in, and my guest Warren Broad also comes in. So again, to qualify for the complimentary strategy session, just send me an email and I'll get you an application. Okay, so as I've alluded to, today's topic is how to handle holiday anxiety and overwhelm. Now, you guys, I know I'm not alone in the holiday anxiety that haunts me. We talked about it a little on last week's episode with Sherry Belul, but I can actually get really resentful about the holidays. Like, I am just pissed at them for existing and screwing up my schedule. As a busy mompreneur, I struggle to create the illusion of balance in my life on a daily basis. I start my days early and I do my best to be present for my kids when they're at home and present for my clients when my kids are not. But even this can get difficult and messy. And sometimes my business to-do list nags me while I'm spending time with my kids, and sometimes my kids nag me while I'm attempting to work on my business. This can cause me to feel anxious and detached from the present moment. Now, the thing about the holidays that really gets me is that I feel like I just don't have time for them. And this causes an incredible amount of guilt, right? I know I should enjoy the holidays, and anxiety just around getting it all done. As the mom, the responsibilities of the holiday season fall on me, and I'm charged with figuring out holiday plans, coordinating with family members, shopping for everyone's gifts, cooking at least one holiday meal, you get it, etc., etc., etc. And just let me know, guys, in the comment section if you can relate to that. And while the adult and the coach in me both know that there are strategies, I can choose to accept this, and I can choose to focus what I choose to focus what on. Let's try this one more time. Focus on what I can control, and release the rest. There is this resistant, angry child living somewhere inside of me that throws a tantrum this time of year, that just is like stomping her feet and wishing that the holidays would just, I don't know, stop bugging me. So that's why I've invited my friend Warren Broad on the show this week. Warren is a professional counselor and the author of an exceptional book. I highly recommend it, entitled It's the Landing That Counts. I actually met Warren about 6 months ago when he was a guest on Lisa Ingalls' show. I liked what he had to say. I got his book, and I really loved what he stood for, so I followed up with him, and now here we are. So Warren is a licensed clinical hypnotherapist, a marriage and family therapist, a counselor, and a life coach. He also holds an honors diploma in addictions counseling. He's worked in professional counseling for over 10 years and has his own private hypnotherapy practice, has had for over 8 years. In addition, like I mentioned, he is an addictions and compulsions specialist and the creator of the Recovery in the Now program. And Warren's Canadian, which my friend Rich Gurman says means that he is 50% nicer than most Americans. So I'm so excited to have Warren Broad on this show, and I'm looking forward to getting tips and practices to dealing with holiday anxiety. So on that note, Warren, hello and welcome to the show. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Oh, thanks so much for the great introduction, Carrie. It's wonderful to be here, and I love watching your show. So it really feels like an honor.
Oh, thank you, Warren. That's what it's funny, right? Because with my show, what I'm finding is the more I confess, the more that I turn this show into like free business advice and free therapy for Carrie, the more it seems to resonate with my audience. So yeah, I'm just putting it all out there. And so my first question to you, Warren, is actually really simple because I think it's a good place to start, which is just okay, you're an addiction specialist and you're a licensed therapist and you're seeing clients all year long. But what do you see, particularly, what seems to come up for the people that you work with in the month of December?
Well, it's a great question, and December really is the month of overwhelm. And what I currently see is people coming in, and I loved the term actually that you used in your introduction, is they're caught up with the illusion of what they feel the holidays should be, who should be, how it should all look, and there's the illusion, and there's the reality. And the reality is often that work has pressure on them. There are deadlines. And really, this is one of the few times of the year where we get a double whammy. The fact that there's Christmas and there's New Year's, and there's really only 1 week that separates them. And this creates a double of anxiety, and media is not helping us in any way. I don't fault them, because it is nice to aspire to a beautiful and happy and joyous Christmas, and a new year that we're looking forward to. But that may not be the reality for the person as they're experiencing it. And so I see this big influx, and I actually see a lot of emergency appointments where someone has had a major anxiety issue, or perhaps they've seen a rise in an addiction or a compulsive behavior that they're not happy about, but it's coming out because of the level of anxiety that perhaps they're feeling around the holidays, or self-image issue. You and I were talking before the show. For many women, there's this feeling of needing to be the Martha Stewart or needing to be ultra mom, and in turn, that can only last for so long before they're looking for an escape, and that could be overeating. It could be some late night drinking. There's a lot of ways that can show up.
Okay, so I'm gonna stop you there, and it's confession time, right? Um, so yes, first of all, you've hit on like several of my pain points, and I'm laughing at myself, going, "Oh my gosh, I'm having like I'm not having emergency calls to my therapist, but I'm having like emergency calls to my friends or my, people who counsel me, right? Is to my coaches, to I have a great friend who's an energy healer that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm doing that. I'm totally doing that right now. Because yes, you said three important things. You said work pressure, which I'm thinking not so much for me, but for people who have work deadlines that come at the end of the year, right? Like it happens every year by December. And one of my clients is actually a nurse, and she talks about how for her the holidays get crazy because everybody's trying to squeeze in their, oh, you probably don't have this problem in Canada, but we do. Everybody's trying to squeeze in their medical procedures right before the first of the year, and that causes her extra stress because at a time of year when she's wanting to work less to be with her family, the demands on her at work are higher. And then I'd never even considered the double whammy of Christmas and New Year's. I had always thought about it as like a twofer, right? That, oh, as a little kid, I got 2 weeks off of school. But right now, as a mompreneur, as someone who's working from home, I am getting really frustrated by that double whammy, by that, oh my gosh, it's not just a holiday weekend, it's 2 weeks. And of course, my husband, who works in the corporate world, is like, oh, I'm going to use some vacation time. And so it's 2 weeks of what feels like double the workload for
Yeah.
me, and that's really stressful. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on is we talked about this in the green room, and so, but you talked about the media ideal, and we were watching the show Christmas Vacation, and I'm totally coining, like I've decided that my husband is Clark W. Griswold. Because of that, I think we all do that. And so this is my question to you is, what do we do about that? Because we have this idea, right? As the mom, I don't actually try and be Martha, but I do have an idea of what the holiday is supposed to look like. I want it to feel to my children as it felt to me, and that usually means trying to do what my mom did or uh, create some sort of like Norman Rockwell moment.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, one of the things that I ask my clients to regularly check in on is, uh, are they trying to hold themselves to a standard that that simply isn't possible? Because sometimes people will get into a position where they say, okay, well, I'm going to try and meet this standard, and I'll just continue to work towards that standard, and I'll hope as close to as possible. And actually creates consistent anxiety because there is no perfection, and often the bar is at such a level that every day there's a sort of a reminder that you didn't meet the expectation, or you didn't fill that Norman Rockwell picture well enough. And so one of the things that I suggest to most individuals is just being more present, being more in the moment. Because, for example, I mean, children are naturally in the moment, and they don't care about tomorrow. They don't care about next week. They generally just care about right now and the experience that they're having in the present. As parents, it's just that's all our responsibility is to be in the now with our kids, or our partner, or wife for that matter. And consistently in projection, when we're projecting to Christmas Day or when we're projecting to New Year's, we're not present, and not being present is where a massive amount of our anxieties manifest from. That's the place that it's all starting from. So if we can move ourselves into the present, be in the now, anxiety immediately begins to decline.
Okay, so let's talk about that. And I'm sorry, I want to sort of restate what you said. You started to break up a little bit. So what you said was that there's this issue, right, between projection and the present, and projection being like sort of putting out onto the, well, maybe actually I'll ask you because you'll probably explain it better than me given your background. So can you just give us a quick explanation of what it means to be projecting? What is projection?
Well, projection is when you are looking towards something in the future. So you're now, you're thinking about all the little pieces that need to be put in place to make that amazing Christmas. And it's, well, I've got to get the tree, I've got to get the presents, I've got to get the turkey. Everything is in the future rather than, well, what are my tasks in the moment? What do I just need to accomplish today? And that brings us back to what we have control over rather than we don't have over, because I can't control and nobody can control 10 days from. Yes, we're getting close to Christmas, but it is still 10 days away. And when we are in 10 days from now today, there's a duality there that creates a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you clarified that because I was thinking projection. I'm right. There's another way to talk about projection when I'm like projecting my crap onto you. But that's not what you're talking about. You're talking about projecting into the future, which sounds to me like that is the cause of my anxiety. That instead of just looking at my 30-minute block or my 60-minute block, there is this chatter in the background, right? I call her the bitch in my head. But she's there just reminding me of don't forget this and you have to do that and also going through some scenarios, right? Like, oh, and you know that this is probably going to happen and you really don't even want to call her because that and the other and why do they, and she just is like chattering on and on. And what I
Yeah.
hear you saying is if I can figure out a way to shut her up, then I won't suffer from, then all of the things on my list are still going to happen or not happen. But that I don't have to work myself up into a frenzy. So I want to ask you a twofold question. So the first is just how do I shut her up? And then the second part is something that you and I were talking about that I don't want to let go of because you're here on my show and you're an addictions specialist. And my feeling is that we're all addicted to something. It just might not be one of the taboo things that people go into rehab for, right? But we're all addicted to something. And I am learning that I just might be addicted to the feeling of relief. And so I'm going to stop talking there. So don't forget the first part of the question is how do I shut her up? And then maybe could you speak to what that might mean for me or any of the other people who tell the story of busy and overwhelmed? And I'll let you run with that.
Well, that's it really well expressed, Carrie. I love of and how you phrased that. So, the first thing in getting mind, getting what I often call sort of little Carrie, is really just to shut up. But we can do that in a couple ways. I'm a big fan of time management, so and how it keeps us in the present. So one of my favorite coaches often reminds me of what she calls highest payoff activities, and basically approaching each day with what are the, let's say, three things that must be accomplished today and get me further ahead. Um, our mind gets down in little tasks that actually don't achieve a lot in the big picture. Um, our mind likes to be busy, and often doesn't take into account those highest payoff activities or the things that are actually going to move us forward. And management is a big looking at the day when you wake up, maybe when you're having that morning coffee or meditating. And these are the areas of focus. These are the only three things that matter today. And every time mind comes in and says, "Oh, Carrie, look at this shiny object," or this needs to be done, that goes on the list. It's actually not something that you're going to pay attention to, or just going to go on the list and redirect back to what did I say I was going to do today. And this is where we can feel more accomplishment, that the day ends and we actually got those three things done, and then lowers anxiety and overwhelm.
So I've popped myself back on the screen for a minute, Warren, just to say you broke up a little bit in when I think you were saying time management. Was that what you were saying when you talked about highest payoff activities and really looking at what needs to be done now, today, or in this
Yeah.
particular block of time? You were talking about time management?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I want to play devil's advocate for a minute before we get to me being addicted to relief, which is, okay, that sounds like I'm only, here's the story that I tend to tell myself. I'm not so sure, Warren, that I agree with you there because, okay, I have only 3 things that I can accomplish today, but in the course of my day, I'm finding that I've just added 6 things to my list. How does that help me? So can you talk to my crazy for a minute?
Yeah, and so when we keep our number low to say, okay, there's three very important things. There's three important things that need to be done today. That is still leaving the window open for emergencies. It's leaving the window open for anything that may just show up that actually has to be handled in the moment. So what many people do wrong in time management is they put 10 things on their list every day. And that leaves really no space for the unknown and or emergency items. So there's your three really important ones, then space for the other for life.
Yep. And you know what? What happens for me, right? Because I will do this. I will start my list and think, okay, these are my things that I want to do today. And things that I need to get done or that I think I can accomplish today. And I'll start writing them. And I'll write like 15 of them, way more than I can accomplish in a day. But then if I can go back and say, okay, what are the top 3? What are the 3 things that must get done today? Or what I love to do, and actually Lisa Ingalls helped me with this, is, okay, put yourself, right, you have your vision of where you want your life to be. Take a minute to check in with that woman who has already done those things, and let's ask her, what did she do today, right? So then sometimes it's one thing. It's like, that's it. That was the one thing I needed to do today. Well, if I only have to do one thing today to know that I'm on the right path, to know that, I've gotten everything checked off my to-do list, well, that leaves room for me to overachieve. That leaves room for me to get 5 things done, or to feel really good about those 5 things and be like, oh my gosh, I accomplished so much today, as opposed to the opposite of there were 15 things on my list and I only got 5 done.
Absolutely. It's setting yourself up for success rather than failure. And that's where we want to be the bulk of that it is a far better feeling to overachieve than underachieve. And this is something that in addictions, compulsions all the time is, any for anyone trying to overcome a compulsion or an addiction, there's the one thing that remains the same every day, which is that I didn't act out, or I didn't that that thing that I didn't want, that I'm trying to overcome. Every over and above that is a bonus, and allows us to feel like we're moving forward rather than consistently not meeting expectations.
Okay, so we only have like 4 minutes left in the show. Isn't it amazing how fast it goes?
It does.
So let's go there, right? I've got you here, darn it. I'm getting free therapy. So if I'm addicted to relief, then my one thing, and I want to explain that, right, is the way that I'm perceiving it is that um, I'm setting myself up. If I so enjoy that feeling of relief, that feeling of just like it's not the same as surrender. It feels like
Mm-hmm.
it kind of feels like being rescued. It is so it's a feeling of like, oh my gosh, I was so stressed about that. I was so worked up about it, so tensed about it. I love that feeling of, oh thank God. Oh thank God, right? Oh thank God it worked out. Or just I just love that feeling of like got narrowly escaped, whatever it is, but that feeling of that's not a problem for this millisecond. Now, of course, what happens when I am addicted to relief is that I quickly find something else to stress out about so that I can then find something else to be relieved about. So when I say that I'm addicted to relief, that's what I'm talking about is that I've noticed a pattern in myself, which is getting myself worked up so that I can then have that moment of, oh, I guess I didn't need to be that worked up about it anymore. But how really kind of that doesn't serve me. So, what was my question? Oh, so
Well,
my question was, how do I set myself to overachieve? Or you answer.
um, there is healthy, what you're looking at and your description there, the is relatively healthy, in that if each person has a different capacity for the amount of stress that they feel comfortable with. And if you're the type of person where a certain amount of healthy stress drives you to achieve more, this is a healthy thing. Where I will put a red flag up, if the amount of stress that you are regularly putting yourself under causes you to act in ways that you feel shame or you then feel guilt for, this is when we're looking at a destructive behavior that will begin to grow.
Which I'm guessing is why you get so many calls around the holidays. Right? Because those of us, because the holidays seem to add, and we didn't even talk about this, and we are nearly out of time. So, what is going to have to happen is you guys are going to have to comment, or you're going to have to get in touch with Warren or I to continue this conversation because what the, the holidays bring is triggers, right? Trigger, like trigger, and more trigger. Emotional triggers of, our family, things that we can kind of push to the side for most of the year seem to come down on us on the holidays. And that's what we talked about at the beginning with the double whammy, right? There's the double
Yeah.
whammy of seeing all the family stuff that happens with Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you're happening to celebrate this time of year, but the just what happens when there's family obligations and the roles we fall into, right, in our family that maybe we have escaped in our regular life. And then with New Year's, there's the self-evaluation component that comes with New Year's. That yeah, I can totally see it's a double whammy. So I
It
want to give
really
you
is.
I want to give you a chance to just let people know what it is that you are up to right now. I talked about the Recovery in the Now program at the beginning, but I just mentioned it. So what you are working on, what you are up to, and how people can get in touch with you and a hold of you.
Well, the best place would be with at my website in the lower, and there's a contact form there. Happy to discuss anyone of dialogue. That's probably why we ran through this half hour so quickly. Um, and if somebody is out there suffering and feels that it's time to have a heart conversation regarding heavy levels of depression or anxiety, or obviously addictions, compulsions, uh, I'm willing to. I'm going to go the distance. My program is very immersive. We're in contact on a very high level, because that's ultimately what got me out of my struggles, and I believe it's what most people require. So, website is the best place to go.
All right. And so Warren's website is warrenbroad.com. And I just want to second everything that Warren said. I haven't worked with him one-on-one more than just what you guys have watched right now. um, but I read Warren's book, and yeah, wow, just wow is what I have to say. So if what we're saying resonates with you and you feel like, oh my gosh, it's like it's time for me to deal with this, give Warren a call, or find him on his website with the contact form. And then for everybody else, we got some really valuable tips today. So thank you, Warren, because we got. I think the biggest takeaway for me is no matter, even it doesn't matter that it's the holidays and that there is just more crap added to my to-do list. I can choose to be resentful, or I can choose to focus on the highest payoff activities. And I love those words, highest payoff, because this time of year, the highest payoff for me might be different than what I would choose at any other time of year. This time of year is where I really, whether it's media generated or not, there is an ache to feel closeness, to feel intimacy, to feel celebration with my family that that is maybe, this is going to be bad saying, but that's not always my highest priority at other times of year. Um, maybe it should be. Now that I'm saying it out loud, that sounds kind of bad. So,
Hey, it's all right to like yourself, Carrie.
so all I mean by that is, I think it is the media generated trying to create the moment, and
Hmm.
that I what might be of highest payoff for me is to be okay with that, to be
Yeah.
okay with I'm generating a moment right now. I'm creating memories, just like I said at the beginning of the show, where what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to create that feeling for my kids that my mom created for me. And how do I best create the feeling, right? That's the question of the highest payoff. Is it really in baking 1,000 cookies, or is it being present? Is
Well
it
said.
so yay on that. So thank you, Warren, for being here. Everybody who is currently on my email list, I will be sending a replay to you guys, and just with my sort of biggest takeaways. And I will also be sure to comment on Google Plus in the comment section. A reminder for everybody who's watching to if what I'm saying or what Warren's saying resonates with you, get in touch with us. WarrenBroad.com. He has a contact form on his website. And for those of you who feel like it is time for a strategy session with Carrie, you can contact me below, Coach Carrie Roldan at gmail.com. So thanks for being here. A great big virtual hug to all of you busy mompreneurs with anxiety over the holidays. And be sure to join us next week, same time, same channel, where I'm going to be interviewing the kind of awesome James Fierce, Jim as I know him because we're close like that, of Get Busy, where we're going to talk about crowdfunding and how that can help you in your business. So thank you for being here, and I will see you guys all next week. Thanks again, Warren.
Thanks, Carrie.
Talk to you later.